Hello and welcome to the SEGA Nerdcast, episode 99. I'm Chris, the editor of SEGA Nerds, and with me this week is Kopke, the Requiem, Jason, and Andrew. How's it going, guys?
Fine.
Very well.
A little bit chilly in Mexico. We don't have this kind of weather.
You liar!
Yeah, no. Dude, we have 20 degrees Celsius most of the year.
No one knows what Celsius is, Kopke. No one knows what that is.
Yes, you do.
No.
International system. Only. I think
we know what it is, but we couldn't tell you what that means.
I can answer that.
40 is hot,
really
all right?
with a really harsh statement, but I won't do that. So.
I have a very big announcement to make before we get started with this week's episode. We have a big announcement for the betterment of the community. We are now trademarking podcasts, but we're going to allow everyone else in the podcast community to license podcasts from us. We will be working with them to help them brand podcasts for the community for a very small nominal fee. So we just wanted to come out and just let everyone know that we're going to be working with the community. Podcasting is ours. We have trademarked podcasting, so if you go out there and you're talking to anyone else online, you now will need to pay us the rights to be able to podcast.
Chris, is this for the community?
Of course it's for the community. Everything we do is for the community.
I didn't tell you guys. I have an announcement too. I'm trademarking air.
Wow.
I forgot about air. Yeah.
So every time you breathe, you have to pay Jason.
If you guys do anything with air, like even breathe it or just look at it, no, all the money right here.
It's like when McDonald's tried to trademark the word flavor. Yes. It is a really funny story. I was working in an advertising agency. Some marketing guy came and said, "Okay, we need to figure this out because McDonald's tried to trademark the word flavor, and the story why they tried to do that is really, really silly because some of the top guys was saying, okay, why people are saying that we don't have enough flavor and that our meals are really bad and taste horrible. Okay, then let's trademark the word flavor and let them know what we're capable of." And everybody was like laughing at that kind of statement. But yes, McDonald's at some point tried to trademark the word flavor because they were lacking of it.
So
sorry.
We'll share an email later on in the podcast where everyone can go to find out some more information on how you can actually start doing podcasts now that are going to be SEGA Nerds branded, and you can do it. It's all on your own. It's going to be very easy. You won't have to change anything that you're doing right now. You're just going to have to give us some money because we now own the trademark for podcasts. So, but remember, it's for the community. It's for you. We're doing you guys a favor. We're going to help you build your audience. We're going to do everyone out there a favor by doing this. So it's a good thing. Just keep that in mind. It's a very good thing, right? So
for your pocket.
Jesus. We're all like
50% of the people watching are going to know what the joke is, and then the other 50% are like, what the hell are you talking about?
I guess we should probably give some background.
Point that out.
So no, we're not actually branding ourselves or trademarking podcasts, but there is a company out there, a YouTube channel. What were they called?
The Fine Brothers.
Yeah, the Fine Brothers have apparently trademarked React videos on YouTube, and they came out with this new sub-channel within the thing. Can Kopke or can one of you guys can you find a link to shoot out? But so they came out with this video saying, "Hey, we're going to be we're going to be working with the community to help you build your own React videos underneath the Let's React or the Fine Brothers channel, and basically you're going to have to license the right to be able to do that from them. It's essentially some sort of like revenue sharing program that they're trying to do. And the YouTube community just blew up. I mean, it's hilarious. You guys will have to also link to the Mega 64 YouTube video because it's hilarious. And it's just really awesome to see how the YouTube community has sprung up and said, you know what, this is bull crap. We're not going to allow people to do something like this, because essentially what they're trying to trademark is, because most of the React videos, it's using other people's content. So say Sony came out with a new some sort of new X-Men trailer, and so they would then have that portion playing in the upper right-hand corner, and the rest would be the rest of the screen is just a camera showing someone else watching that on a computer, and it's just showing their reaction to that video. So they're essentially using other people's trademark content to make content that they themselves are then trying to trademark. So it's just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous idea to trademark that to begin with, because you're using other people's content at the very beginning. But then the fact that people have been doing this for years before these guys came about to try to create this React, line of videos. It's utterly ridiculous.
What's the nonsense is that they've been taking down people's videos of reactions to their videos. It's just inception completely.
That is great. So we'll link to some of that stuff if you want to watch that. It's really great stuff. Before we could go on with the rest of the show, let's go around, and if you guys have any interesting pickups that you had throughout the week, let's talk about that. I want to show off a couple things that I got in this week. So I'm a big fan of monster movies and things like that. You guys might be aware, but I'm a subscriber to the famous Monsters of Filmland magazine. This has been going on for a really long time, but it's pretty neat. On the back cover, they're celebrating the 100th birthday of Forrest J. Ackerman, I want to say he was the one who actually started the magazine, which is pretty neat. I also got in the new issue of the Creeps magazine.
Ooh.
So this is basically, if you watch like Creep Show or any of that, it's one of those style of comic books where it's just really short horror stories that has some like really neat artwork and stuff. It's done in like a comic book style. You can see here, black and white. It's really neat. I love this magazine.
Man, that's gorgeous.
Or this comic. But they always have some really, really cool comic art where it's like, by like Frazetta or Boris, like Frank Frazetta and those guys. It's always done really, really well. It's really neat. I really love that. Last but not least, I got in the Streets of Rage vinyl from Data Discs. I finally got that in, and I listened to it today, and it was amazing. This is probably one of my all-time favorite video game soundtracks. I can sit there and just listen to it any time of the day, and I love it. Yuzo Koshiro is the man. I loved it so much that I went and bought the Shenmue vinyl as well. They just got a new stock in, so if you guys are interested in getting that, go to Data Discs, and you can actually get that. I think supplies for the Shenmue vinyl are fairly limited, so if you want to do that, you should do it now. But I think the latest one is Super Hang-On. I think that's the 4th vinyl. They should be announcing some others here in the coming...
I know they announced Outrun at some point.
Yeah, I think they've announced them, but as far as like when they're going to become available, I don't know when they're going to be available to purchase. So
I need to get that Hang-On one. It looks so cool, the red, white, and blue.
It looks awesome. Yeah, the artwork, it's so awesome. It's almost just worth buying the whole vinyl just to get the artwork on the vinyl itself, but to actually hear all of my favorite, like Fighting in the Streets is probably one of my all-time favorite video game songs. I love it. It makes you actually want to go fight someone outside.
Let's do it.
My favorite track in that game was always the elevator stage. I forget what it's called. Violent Breathing, I think it is. The track is just so awesome.
See
that and the beach stage.
Yeah, Violent Breathing is on the B side, B3.
Nice.
So cool. All right, who's up next? Anyone have anything?
I guess. Besides, he's playing with his Hang-On cabinet.
Yeah. This week, last week, I picked Fighting Climax Ignition, which I'm also reviewing for the site. I wasn't on last week's podcast, but I'm playing this and reviewing it. I actually like it more than the previous version. It has improved a lot, and it is more tough than the previous release. So I actually like it. It has a lot of challenges.
So it's pretty much an updated version of the original.
Updated and improved. Like, for example, the characters are more balanced now. You have also like new mode, which is called Ignition, as the title suggests. Like, you can have like 2 support characters, and also like for example, there's like a way in which you can use your support character depending on what you select of a property. So it really changes the mode and how you fight. So it really has a lot of updates. The other one is Gundam Musu. My brother brought it from Japan.
Ooh.
So it has like here. I haven't played yet, but this
I
pickup
think
I have.
that's one of the Dynasty Warriors Gundam games. I forget which one. I think that's you.
It's kind of a beat 'em up fighting Gundam game, from what I have been able to grasp. I haven't played it yet. And the other one I have been playing Dragon's Crown, and a lot of TurboGrafx 16 PC Engine titles. And the other pickup, well, I already reviewed it for the site, which is the Saturn Nendoroid.
Oh, nice.
Which you can look it up.
That's always cool.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it.
What's have there been any new announcements on Sega Hard Girls? Like, are they going to do a new season or anything like that? What's the latest on that?
No, we don't have animation. The latest news on that is that a couple of shows are going for the voice actresses, and lots of figures. The One Fest exclusive figures are now open to the public. They made another version of those and cheaper ones, and people in Japan are going to be able to get them for lesser money. But they don't have the extras. They have a little of different things, that's why they make it cheaper. And that's pretty much it. I think we're going to know more about that on One Fest, which is in a couple of weeks. But aside from that, I think that's it.
What about the game, the game with the Neptunia?
We reported thanks to the RPG site, which is good friends of ours, that they made an interview with which is Idea Factor International CEO, and he said that Neptunia vs. Sega Hard Girls is on the table to be brought to the West, and that's the thing they are pushing to get it here. So it's probably going to be on their side to be brought over here, but they are working hard to get it here. That's what he said.
Awesome.
Very cool.
We actually have that post on the site.
All right.
Oh, that's really good.
Jason?
I'm up. All right. Well, to follow up your horror theme, I actually picked up something on the Wii. I picked up House of the Dead 2 and 3.
Oh, nice.
I
I haven't played it in a while. I got some Sega PSP stuff. We got an import, Initial D Street Stage, which is pretty much portable version 3.
What a nice game.
The best.
I love the Initial D series. Yeah.
I've put so much money into the version 3 arcade machine, so it was inevitable for me to get Street Stage.
There's also a PS3 version.
Yeah, that's if I remember correctly, that's either version 6 or version 7 AA.
7 AA.
Yep. I also got Outrun 2006 because I needed another copy. That was one of the ones I was missing. And because it was his 20th anniversary recently, I got Duke Nukem Time to Kill.
Very cool.
Hail to the king, baby.
Damn.
Andrew, do you have any neat like Jaguar 3DO stuff you want to show?
Jaguar.
I actually do have a 3DO game to show you. I've had my eye on this one for a long time. I got D.
Oh, nice.
Which also carries on with the horror theme that we've got going. It's the best version of the game, in my opinion, because it loads a lot faster, and the FMV is full screen.
Whoa.
Nice.
So
Thanks to the power of a 3DO, baby.
Thanks to the power of the 3DO. So if you have a 3DO and don't have D and are a horror fan, then I highly recommend you go and get it right now.
I need to get me some D, I'll tell you that. Because I don't have any right now. I do not have it.
Some nice D to settle down with.
We'll get you some D. It's okay.
It's got to come complete, too.
gotta
The
try
Requiem,
to-
I know that were continuing in the horror and shitty game theme by picking up
What?
a Nintendo game, right?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we
God,
talked about this online.
no!
This isn't so much of a pickup I can show on camera. One, because my camera's not enabled, but two, because it's digital. I finally picked up Earthbound on the Wii Virtual Console today. Actually, it's on sale. It's like $7 instead of the bullshit $10 price that it normally is. So I've not ever actually played it. It's never looked like anything that appealed to me. Even when it came out, I thought that game doesn't look great, but people keep talking about how great it is.
Or the first one.
Huh?
Mother 2 or Earthbound was Mother 2 in America,
Super
right?
NES one, yeah, the Super NES one, not Earthbound Beginnings or whatever one came out on NES.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things that, man, if that game's not amazing, I've got some people on the Nintendo fanboy list that are going on my hit list because, yeah, they sure talk that one up as though it's something special. So I'll give it a shot eventually. I do not know when I'll get to it.
Let me ask you two questions. Do you like grinding?
I don't mind grinding.
It depends on who it's with.
Okay.
No, I don't mind grinding at all. I played, like, Phantasy Star, and Final Fantasy,
Then
those old games, and I grind in those well enough. I don't mind doing that at all. So that's not going to bother me.
okay, then prepare for a test of patience on grinding on that game because modern games do have a lot.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay, but aside from that, you'll get a very nice story.
Yeah,
it's really tender.
I'm kind of being an ass. It's just I'm sure I'll enjoy it to some degree. I just don't know if it's not a game that's been overhyped because people wanted it so badly or want new ones.
It may seem like it, but it's worth at least a playthrough.
Yeah, I'm sure for $7 it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So anyway,
actually, it was my first approach to RPGs, the Mother series, and actually because of those series, I ended up hating a little bit RPGs.
That's perfect.
That's what I played, actually.
That's my little approach with Mother series, but. To be fair, I played the first version, the Nintendo one, in Japanese because a neighbor of mine, she was Japanese and she was like translating me the game as we promised when we were kids. But the thing is that because of the first Mother, I don't really enjoy much RPGs because of how much you have to grind on that game.
It was so bad that you started hating your own mother, right?
No. Actually, the Mother story is pretty tender. The story is pretty tender on both games, on the first and the second one. And actually, it's the sweet part of the game, the story. But I think you have to do like so many repetitive things that actually I think that was the annoying part for me.
Gotcha.
I always
way
liked
too
games.
much.
I played it when I was a kid. I rented it back in the day. I really liked it. I thought I liked just the kind of the quirky feel to the game. I thought it was fun. I liked I thought it was a nice departure from most of the other RPGs at the time where it's either in a sci-fi setting or some sort of fantasy type setting. It was set in the real world. You're a little kid. And I really liked it. I don't think it necessarily deserves like the heap of praise and everything else that it gets today and just the ridiculous amount of money that it goes for. But that's Nintendo fans for you. But it is a good game. I don't think it's a shitty game. I think it's a solid RPG, but there are far and away a lot better RPGs on the Super Nintendo than Earthbound. So.
Final Fantasy VI.
So let's get going. Let's keep going on. One thing I do want to say is this is our 99th Nerdcast. It's crazy to think that we're almost at 100. But we are planning to do something kind of neat. Hopefully that our listeners will think it's neat for the 100th episode. We're making Graham. We're pulling Graham away from his girlfriend for an hour or so, and bringing him back on the show.
We were asked a couple of minutes ago on Twitter why Graham isn't on the show.
It's basically like, when you're a little kid and your best friend ends up getting a girlfriend and he just ditches you and just spends all his time with his new girlfriend, but she will kiss him and do some other stuff. Well, we'll kiss Graham too. We'll give Graham everything. His girlfriend will. The Requiem will do that and even more. Graham,
yeah, I owe him big time. I'm pretty sure though the reason is because his laptop's broken again.
God.
Yeah, he's got the worst luck with
my laptop.
But anyway, so as I was saying, we have some neat ideas for what we're going to be doing with the 100th episode. So keep an eye out for that. We'll talk a little bit about it later on in the podcast. But before we get going in the news, we did get some stuff in the mailbag that I really I wanted to touch on really quickly. So at Fantasy Star Boy wrote in and asks, where is Burning Rangers HD or Burning Rangers 2 or a Western PSO 2? We won't go there. But he then asks, could Sega ever make a Shining Force 3 collection or even a number 4, a proper number 4? So there's a lot going on there. So let's just go into Burning Rangers HD. What do you guys think is the likelihood of Sega coming out with that?
That would be hard because we don't know what's the status of the code because Sega of Japan and Sega of America lost a lot of Saturn titles' original source code, and we don't know how many of those titles were lost. For example, the first House of the Dead, they don't have the source code of it anymore, so that's why it doesn't get any port to other platforms. And I don't probably Burning Rangers isn't the same case. That's because it's really weird. We don't have an updated version of that one.
Well, what bugs me is Sega released a lot of early Saturn games on PC as well, like Panzer Dragoon, Bug, and no, House of the Dead wasn't. But the point is, they had a legacy of releasing on PC as well. So if they just released it on PC, they could have easily just taken the PC version and ported it to current generation consoles.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but they haven't done that with Panzer either. So yeah, I think Burning Rangers are probably lower on their priority list than that.
I mean, if they took the time to port Guardian Heroes, there could maybe be a chance of the source code still existing. They just don't think there's a market for it. I mean, that's the only theory I could come up with.
But I think Guardian Heroes thing was more of Treasure doing that, and like, hey, Sega, this is your thing.
I mean, that is true. They did release Radiant Silvergun around that time, too.
What do you guys think about a new Shining Force? This Shining Force 4, do you think that would ever happen?
I think it's not... Well, no, forget about it. Shining Force is still alive. They still get new titles, but the problem is that they are on mobile, and Japan only releases.
But they're not like the old turn-based strategy RPG like they used to be, though, right?
No, they have changed a lot. For example, the main series now is the Shining
Shining Resonance?
No, but I'm trying to call it another name. The illustrator Tony Taka, the illustrator for Shining. The main series
Shining
is now
Tony.
the base. Shining Tony series is now the main series, and the Shining Force series has been moved to the mobile atmosphere.
Shining Blade or whatever it is.
I think if you're a fan of Shining Force, which I'm a huge Shining Force fan, and you want to kind of play those type of games, I don't think we're going to be getting one anytime soon, but I do think you should check out Project Cross Zone too, which we'll talk about later on. But just keep listening, and we'll talk about that because a demo was released for the game. But I think if you're a fan of those, of the Shining Force series, you would like Project Cross Zone 2. So keep an eye out for that. Next, at Bindalin asks, why do people keep asking for a new Sega console when it would be financial suicide? Do they want Sega to die? Now, this is something that a lot of people have been discussing since this whole Dreamcast 2 business, blew up on the internet a couple months back. So this is an interesting thing because, yeah, I mean, for most people out there, if you really look at the realistic, idea of Sega coming out with a new console, they just don't have the money, the backing, or anything like that. They're just not in the financial standpoint right now to actually come out with a new console. So what do you guys think would happen? I mean, because Sega had to get out of the console business just to save the company. They had abandoned the Dreamcast after just basically releasing it after a couple of years. And so right now, honestly, I don't think even if Sega made a new console right now, what kind of games would they even be able to have to support that? Look at all the great games Sega was releasing during the end of the Dreamcast life. They're not anywhere near turning out that kind of quality and quantity of games anymore. What would you really have if Sega created a new console? I mean, it would be just a handful of games, right?
That's exactly the point. It's Sega's creative pool has been diminished to the point where we're getting like in the West, maybe 3 or 4 games a year, if that, and how are they supposed to support a console with 3 or 4 games a year? It's not going to happen.
And the other problem is, who do you sell it to, and how many people will buy it? Like, that's the other problem. There are not many Sega fans remaining out there.
Yeah, I think it would be a niche market if they really did.
Mm-hmm.
And not many games. I mean, what would we get Crazy Taxi for?
I would totally be
Crazy Taxi 4 now.
I played Crazy Taxi 4.
Yeah, now I want it.
I guess technically wasn't Crazy Taxi 4 the mobile game?
Shut up, Chris.
Oh, we don't talk about that. We do not talk about that.
So I was so sad because I think Hardlight did that, right? Hardlight,
yeah.
Man, because they had just done Sonic Dash, and then I was so excited at the idea of them making a Crazy Taxi game, and then to actually play what ended up being Crazy Taxi, I was not that impressed with it. I was sad.
That was fine. It was fine.
You couldn't even control the taxi. That was the.
Yeah, but did you want to tilt the damn thing?
I wanted to do more than that with it.
I mean, it was basically Sonic Dash with a cab.
Basically.
I mean, at least they had the Daytona paint job, so I guess it wasn't all bad.
They did what?
They had the Daytona paint job for the taxi.
I'm going to go back and play it now. I'm going to go back and play
They
it.
did do some pretty fun stuff with it because they had Hulk Hogan come into it. They had Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah, they did have Hulk Hogan.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get into the news now. And to start us off, let's talk about that Project Cross Zone 2 demo. Now, Requiem, I know you've been playing it quite a bit, so why don't you talk to us about that demo?
Sure, yeah. Well, I picked the demo last week, and I think, I don't know, maybe Kofke's played it, but I think I'm maybe the only one on staff who really spent a lot of time with the first game. Has anyone else here played it?
Yeah, I played the first one.
Okay,
you did. Raise my hand here. I've played it too.
So, yeah, I played the first game. I didn't quite finish it, but I don't know if I'm quite done. I know I'm more than 20 hours into the first game. So I went ahead and picked up the demo and started playing through that. It's so far, what I'd say is a lot of the same, with a few tweaks added into it. I mean, of course, there's new characters, there's going to be new settings, but as far as new mechanics go, they allow you to place your groups, your units, before the battle. They let you swap them around, which you couldn't do in the last one. So if you want, certain units closer to enemies or closer to items, depending on how far they can move or how far their attack range is. So that's cool. Gives you a little bit more strategy there, and it also, it's turn-based in that all of your characters and all of your units get to go, and then all of the enemy units get to go. In the last game, it was, maybe you'd have one of your units move, and then two enemies would move, and then you'd have another chance to move another one of your guys. So they've changed some things there, but otherwise it seems like it's pretty much the same thing with new characters. So if you played the first game and you enjoyed it, I think you'll still like this one quite a bit. The demo's free, so check it out. There's no reason not to. If you like really wonky Japanese stuff with stories that to me don't make that much sense, and it doesn't matter if they make sense anyway, then you'll be fine there. The only reason I would say don't try it is if you don't like strategy RPG games, because this one won't change your mind. It is a strategy RPG game. It's a little bit easier, I think, than most other strategy RPG games. And the demo seems so far to be a little bit easier. In the demo itself, there were, let's see, as far as new characters on the Sega side, gosh, who was? Well, there were Yakuza characters. There was Mashima Goro.
And Kiryu.
Yeah, Kiryu. See, who else was there?
There was
Ryo Hazuki.
As far as the demo, those were the only Sega characters.
Alex Kidd's not in the demo.
Most of it was Capcom.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was Capcom. I think it's because BB Hood and Dimitri and Morgan from Darkstalkers were all in the demo, and then Jill and Chris from Resident Evil are in the demo.
And then Phoenix Wright and whoever the hell Phoenix Wright's
sidekick
is.
Phoenix Wright, he's in there. The little QB villain from Darkstalkers. Oh, the first stage, though. The first stage takes place outside of Club Sega, so that's cool. So it's got tons of little fan service things, and that's really what the whole game is. It's just you go from one battle to the next, one or two more characters show up, they join your party, the battles get bigger and bigger. Eventually the battles will take you 3 hours long to beat. But it is still fun. The only reason why I never finished the first game is just because it's long, and I don't have as much time as I would like to sit down and play through those things. So definitely check it out if you're, well, I assume you're at least Sega fans listening to the podcast. There's plenty of Sega stuff in there. Like someone mentioned a minute ago, Ryu Hazuki is a playable character in the game. Alex Kidd makes a appearance as a summon. I think he's like one of Ulala's. Yeah, there's Virtua Fighter characters in the game.
Got that shell core technique going.
Yeah, Axel from Streets of Rage is in the game. A couple of Shinobi characters are in the game.
Oh yeah,
but none of them are in the demo.
How awesome would it be if you could summon Alex Kidd and you would end up doing that paper rock scissors mini game?
I don't know if there would be that many people that really would appreciate that.
And it would still be like the original Alex Kidd, where you just never know, and if you lose, then you just lose the whole battle.
Yeah, then the whole battle's over. 2.5 hours down. No, considering that's like the biggest complaint people throw at Alex Kidd Miracle World, I'm not sure if that would be the best thing to do. But it would be funny.
So one of the neat things about the demo, though, is that for one, it's rather lengthy. I think there's 3 full battles.
Yeah, well, there's a training battle and then 2 full battles. Yeah.
Right. And so if you play through the demo, it allows you to save it, and then if you end up buying the actual retail edition and start the game with that demo save data, you'll be able to unlock certain things within the full game, and those things have not been announced yet. Which is pretty neat, because most games don't do that, and kind of gives you an added incentive to not only play the demo, but then to also pick up the game itself. But if you play through the demo several times, the characters get harder each time, the enemies get harder each time you play through the demo and finish it, but you also start unlocking more and more things within the demo itself. You get more
you can do that up to 10 times. So if you want to play
I didn't even bother going through it a second time, though.
I'm not going to bother going through it a second time either. It took me about an hour and a half, I think, to play through everything in the demo. Which, it's not bad for a demo. That's longer than it takes to beat an old Sonic game. So
that's true.
Damn. Shots.
So the game is going to release on February 16th in North America and in the Americas, I should say. And on February 12th, Europe actually gets it a few days before us. And the game was released in Japan in November, so it's been out in Japan for a while now. And it got, I want to say, it got pretty good reviews, and it sold fairly well out there. So hopefully, this won't be the end of the series, because I think there's I love the idea of this big mashup, and I think it's a lot of fun, even though the the story behind it is a little wonky, and I think there's a little bit too much exposition sometimes. It just goes on and on when it could be a little shorter.
At least so far in the demo, though, when the characters are making jokes, they seem to be a little bit funnier. I'm not sure if the localization team is different or whatever, but I thought that the back and forth between the characters, at least so far in the demo, was funnier than the stuff in the first game. The first game was like, oh my god, shut up, that's not funny. Let's go. But yeah, so far I appreciate it a little bit more. At least, yeah, especially the Goro, the Yakuza guy. He's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's.
All right, next up, with something that I will be able to talk about. And so the Coleco Chameleon, I don't know if you guys out there have heard too much about this, but this was essentially the retro VGS a few months ago. And this was started by Mike Kennedy and some of the guys behind the Retro magazine and some other actual long time video game developers that worked on the old Atari and things like that. They basically got together. They want to create an old, I guess you could say, neo-retro cartridge-based system. They came out with an Indiegogo campaign last year that just failed really badly. The biggest problem was that the system itself cost about $300, and I think shipping was about $50, something like that, or maybe it was even more. Maybe it was like 70 something. It was just very expensive, and so people just said, I'm not going to pay that much. I'm not going to pay premium prices for a retro system when I could go buy an Xbox One or PS4. I'm going to go out and rather spend my money on that. So the Indiegogo campaign failed fairly badly. They announced that they're going to go back to the drawing board, kind of redesign the system, try to make it cheaper, and they're going to come back and have an announcement later on. And so I think it was back in November or December, I'm sorry, when they announced that the system has been rebranded to the Coleco Chameleon, and it's going to have a lot of fundamental changes to it, both under the hood and by name. And so here recently, a couple days ago, they announced some of the launch titles that are going to be coming out when the game or the Coleco is released. And what's interesting is Pico Interactive, who we've had on the podcast a while back when they were going to be when they announced that Duke Nukem 3D, they're going to be bringing it to the Genesis, which before that it had only been released in Brazil. So they're going to be bringing several of their Sega Genesis games to the Coleco Chameleon at launch. And it's pretty interesting because some of these games have never been really released commercially in the West. Some of them have been just games that released on other consoles, or that they were developed in Taiwan or China and just for whatever reason kind of never made it here. So I just want to go down really quickly, talk about some of those games, and then kind of get your guys' reactions on what you guys think about them. So the first game is called Water Margin: The Tales of Clouds and Winds. And this is a 2D kind of side-scrolling beat-em-up, similar to Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, those kinds of games. It was originally released in 1996 by Never Ending Soft Team. And it tells the story of kind of an ancient Chinese, story from a long time ago, and kind of reimagines it as a video game. But one of the interesting things about it is the team that developed it used a lot of assets from other games like Streets of Rage, Street Fighter, and even Knights of the Round. Some of the sprites from Knights of the Round. So it's a mishmash. They didn't completely do all of the work themselves, but it's kind of interesting. From that perspective, Pico secured the rights to the game, had it fully translated into English, and you can even buy it on the Genesis now if you'd rather have the Genesis version, or you can wait to buy it when it comes out on the Chameleon. So that's a pretty interesting game there. Next up is Gem Power: The Lost Dimension. I've never heard of this series, but apparently it came out on the Super Nintendo. Do you guys remember this at all?
Mm-mm.
Never even heard of it.
So this is a 2D platformer. It did come out on the Super Nintendo called Jim Power: The Lost Dimension in 1993, towards the end of I think it was December 1993. They were going to make a Genesis port of the game called Jim Power: The Arcade Game. It was going to be somewhat similar to the SNES version, but there were some top-down levels in the Super Nintendo version that they took out, and they replaced those with more side-scrolling levels. And they were going to release it, but for whatever reason, it never came out commercially. But there was the game leaked onto the internet a while back, and so you could actually go back and play it. So Pico was able to get that franchise, and they released a collection on Steam that you can get for $5 that includes the Super Nintendo version, the Genesis version, and several other different versions of Jim Power. But they're going to be bringing that to the Chameleon as well.
Yeah, so I've got that on Super Nintendo. I should warn everybody. That game on Super NES, at least, is hard as balls.
Oh, really?
It's not an easy game. It is a very, very difficult game.
I'm surprised it didn't sell better. I would think with a name like Jim Power that would have been a household name by now.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Sounds like a brand of laundry detergent.
Lastly, there's a game called Brave Battle Saga, and this is another Taiwanese-developed game, but this was an RPG. And what's interesting about this one is the idea was that they were going to be, obviously the Final Fantasy series never made its way to any of the Sega consoles, so they wanted to continue the Super Nintendo Final Fantasy series onto the Genesis. So they created this game called Brave Battle Saga, and it retains a lot of the same gameplay elements like an active time battle and things like that that were kind of trademarks of the Final Fantasy series. They brought that out in 2010. It was translated to English that year, and some of the similarities between Final Fantasy was removed at that time, but it still has a lot of from a gameplay standpoint, it still retains a lot of that. So Pico got the rights to that game as well, and they have plans to publish or release a Genesis version later this year. So if you want to buy the Genesis version, you can hold out for that. But it's kind of interesting too that it's going to be coming to the Chameleon. So those are 3 games, at least with like former Sega Genesis games or games with Genesis ties, that are going to be coming to the Chameleon. Now, one of the things that's interesting about the Chameleon is the team behind it. They were able to buy the machine that prints or develops the shells of the old Atari Jaguar. They were able to buy that from some dentist out in like California. They were actually it was crazy. They were using it to create computer shells that they used in like dental offices, and I've seen it, and it looks crazy. They painted them white, and it just looks like a white Atari sticking on a wall in a dental office. It was pretty crazy, but they bought that, and so that's what's going to be coming out in the Chameleon actually looks like an old Jaguar. It's pretty interesting, but along with these games, there's a bunch of other Super Nintendo games. They're also coming out with a whole line of ports from the original Coleco. And so it's going to be kind of interesting to see. I'm going to be going to the New York Toy Fair next month in February. This is when they're going to be showcasing their prototype for the very first time, and they're going to have some of these games available to play. So it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to playing some of these games on the Coleco Chameleon and talking to the team behind it. One interesting thing about this system is when it was still known as the Retro VGS, when they did the Indiegogo campaign, they did announce that other games that had Sega ties were going to be coming to it as well. Games like Gunlord, which there was a Dreamcast release of that. Pure Solar, which obviously was released on the Genesis a long time ago, and then just recently had a Dreamcast port, and then a Last Hope version, which is Last Hope Pink Bullets, was going to be coming to the Retro VGS. So those games were not in this I guess you call it a sizzle reel in this video. They had no mention of it, so I'm wondering if those games are still going to be coming out for the Coleco Chameleon. So I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think of this system? Does it interest you at all? Do you think a retro-style cartridge-based system could work in today's video game industry?
Okay, well, I guess I'll start.
You sound excited about this one.
Well, no, actually, I really am curious about this thing, and I would be excited if it came to fruition and was successful. As far as those three games, Water Margin looks the most interesting to me. But I think you kind of touched on what the big problem with this is going to be in the article here, and that is, I mean, think about the Jim Power game. On Steam, you can get a collection of all the Jim Power games for $5.
Yep.
Digitally, and I just don't know if there's that many people. I mean, I might be one of them, but how many more people out there are like me and will actually pay, who knows how much, $50 maybe, for a cartridge version of just the unreleased Genesis game? I am still skeptical that that's not going to be something that's going to attract a big audience. It very well could attract a niche audience. I hope it does. I would really like to see it hit a better price point. And before it failed on its campaign, I was really, cross my fingers for it, but I wasn't in a position to support it. And I still am crossing my fingers for it, because I think it would be really neat to have a new cartridge system like this. And yeah, I mean, I've already kind of looked at the list of games and thought, okay, yeah, maybe this one, maybe this one, maybe this one. But I just don't know how many people are out there that are like me.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, I know you're a big retro collector and things like that. What would the price point need to be for you? Because it seems like this system is marketed to people like you and me, and a lot of other people listening to this who collect games from when they were kids. But what would the price point need to be for you to be attractive to the point where you'd want to buy it?
From a collector's perspective, I'd probably say I would pay up to $120.
I think it's fair.
I'd probably pay $120 for it. If it's anything more than $120, I don't know where they're getting that price from. Because it's not the physical hardware, is it? It's an emulator system.
Yeah, I think. Well, that's the thing is the Retro VGS. It was going to be running on an FPVGA. I think that's the term for it. But it was essentially going to be the idea would that it could emulate or be able to run tons of different platforms of games, so it could basically become a Genesis, or it could be a Super Nintendo. So people would be able to easily port games if they had already made, like, say, Water Margin and things like that. It'd make it very easy to port, but also just very versatile as well. But I think that was one of the things that was driving the price up quite a bit as well. So I don't know. They haven't announced what they're going to be doing with it yet. I don't know if they're still doing that, or if they're coming out with maybe something that would be cheaper, maybe like Android-based, or even if they are coming up with their own proprietary system itself. I'm not sure, but I know that was one of the things they said was that it's going to be cheaper, and it's going to be more attractive of a price for those people out there. So we'll kind of see from there.
Yeah, I know they changed the controller ports to be cheaper, but I'm not sure how much that's really going to save you. Right. If we get a $350 system down to $120.
Yeah, that was one of the cool things, because it had like the 9-pin controller ports and things like that. So you'd be able to plug in a Genesis controller, an Atari controller, and multiple other ones. Now they replace those with like 4 USB ports, I think. So
yeah.
That sounds a little off.
But I mean, you'd still be able to use, like, if you wanted to buy like the Hyperkin Sega Genesis controller, they have wired versions of that, I believe, and so you'd be able to plug that in the USB port for this, and so hopefully something like that would work. But I'm hoping to be able to get some more information when I go up to the Toy Fair next month and talk with them. Hopefully we can get a firm price, an idea on how much these games are going to cost, because that's obviously going to be a big deal for game by game, how much are they planning to charge for this. And then also I want to see just what the package is. If you're talking about marketing something like this to collectors, they're going to want obviously a physical game, but you're going to want the box, you're going to want a manual and things like that, and those are very important things to this community because
please God, be a hard shell box. Please God, be a hard shell box.
Nope, they're going to be cardboard. Just
shut up! Shut up! I'll kill you through the internet.
So more to come on that. We'll see where we go, but I think it is pretty interesting though that the Coleco Chameleon has some Genesis ties now, so we can start covering that, and hopefully they'll be successful, because it's a neat idea, and I hate to see interesting ideas like this kind of fail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Next up, Andrew, do you want to talk to us about this next piece of news?
I don't actually have the outline open. Hang on. Can you link me?
That's okay. That's all right.
We have an outline?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I have an outline.
I never got the outline.
I spent an hour.
Refreshing email right now. I never got the outline.
Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties.
No, I don't have it.
All right. Well, I did send it out earlier.
Is it about that Gradius 2 on Genesis?
Oh, yeah.
I hope so, because you just spoiled it.
I know.
We're not talking Gradius 2. I think you're looking at an old one, Jason. So the news that we're going to be talking about is Bayonetta coming to Super Smash Bros. On February 3rd. And so this is a big deal, obviously, because back in December, Nintendo announced that she would be the final DLC character added to the game. And it's going to be coming out for both the Wii U and the 3DS versions. And along with her character, she's going to come with 2 different costumes, one from Bayonetta 1 and one from Bayonetta 2. And she's also going to have an Umbra Clock Tower stage, which looks pretty neat. You can see some of the gameplay. Actually, I'll load up the video as we're talking through this. But she's going to be released in the afternoon of February 3rd, so that's actually going to be coming up. Man, what day is that? That's on Wednesday. I'm pretty excited about that. So, who here has been playing Super Smash Bros. Quite a bit? I know, Requiem, you've done it quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I haven't bought any DLC, though. But, yes, I have played it quite a bit.
Are you excited for Bayonetta?
Oh, man, I cried when they made the announcement. I just goddamn near cried. I was so excited. I did not vote for Bayonetta. I voted for Alex Kidd as a long shot. So there you go. But I was really excited. I was so terrified it was gonna be fucking Waluigi. So
I voted for Waluigi.
I know you did, you big dork. But I was like, oh man, it's gonna be Waluigi or some damn Pokemon or something. So when it turned out being Bayonetta, I was so damn happy. I was so happy. So I will at some point get this DLC, I think. There's a lot of rumors over the last week or so that the NX is going to launch with a Smash Brothers game, presumably with all the DLC on disc, which is why I don't ever buy DLC, because they always do this. So, I don't know if I'll buy it immediately. I may wait for the NX launch announcement, whatever it's going to be, coming later this spring before I actually throw down. Because
it's not like even if they do that, you're going to buy an NX at launch. You're going to buy an NX like 2 years later. So what
I know. I'll save so much money, Chris.
Oh God.
I can't have as many games as I have and pay retail for them.
Ridiculous.
Oh God. I have no money. I just did my taxes and I really don't have any money.
Oh,
just don't do your taxes, and then
well, I'm not a Texas resident anymore.
And have the IRS going after him.
That's gonna be fun.
Just sit in jail, but at least I have my Bayonetta DLC, motherfuckers.
And somebody send my 3DS.
The IRS is gonna be, oh, he's playing Bayonetta. That's okay.
Oh, just sitting catatonic in a jail cell with a GameCube controller. I bought the DLC.
Yeah.
I have the DLC.
And so also remember that Bayonetta 2, the standalone version of that, is going to be coming out later this month on February 19th as well for $30. So that's something I bought the original Bayonetta 2 when it first came out, so I had the original game as well. I was an idiot and traded it into Best Buy. I don't know why.
Oh, come on.
And so now the game's like $100.
You moron, Chris.
Up so much, I didn't even think about it. So I'm going to be buying this one though, because I want that, and I won't trade this one in. So we'll see.
Now, is there going to be an alternative way to still get Bayonetta 1, or is
Digitally, I think.
Could you buy it? Does it come with if you buy it digitally?
No, it actually comes on disc, so it's not available digitally right now. It would be smart of Sega and Nintendo to have this available digitally, because for people that just didn't get in on the game when it was first come out, but then maybe you go and buy this standalone version and say, hey, you know what, I really like this game because it was totally awesome. I'd like to go back and play the original one. You don't really have an option to do that unless you buy it on the PlayStation 3. And so it would be smart for Nintendo and Sega to just release it digitally. I mean, it can't hurt, you know what I mean? Just throw it up on the eShop and
I mean, they could always release a standalone on-disc version like they're doing with 2, but it seemed kind of...
I don't think that happened. That's
the good thing, though, is that it seems to have, Bayonetta 2 is not very available anymore. It's getting to the point where it's very uncommon. You can't really find it at GameStops anymore. And that means that the game sold, fairly well, and now they're, doing a new run of the game. And so that's a good thing for the future of Bayonetta, I think, the Bayonetta series.
Yep.
And then when Sega, eventually releases a Dreamcast 2, Bayonetta 3 will be a launch title, right?
Yes.
I hope that the next Bayonetta isn't exclusive to a Nintendo console. I'd want...
Let's hope so.
Just bring it on everything. You know what I mean?
Really?
I think that Bayonetta 2 at this point, if they somehow manage to wrest it away from Nintendo, which I don't think they'll be able to do, would sell stupid well if it was a PS4 game.
Or maybe they can do what they did with Yakuza on the PS4, like rebranding it as, Bayonetta Kiwami, and
yeah, there you go.
getting it like a remaster remake thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you never know, though, because, Sega has shown that once that timed exclusivity ends, they, are willing to bring it to other platforms. Just look at Sonic Lost World, which, obviously was a Nintendo exclusive for a long time, and then it was released onto onto Steam here not too long ago. So
stop complaining, Sega fans. You got Sonic Lost World on PC.
I still don't think that game is nearly as bad as people made it out to be.
Oh, I know. I'm just giving it.
Yeah.
I'm just mouthing off, man.
Just being an ass,
You're good at that.
It happened.
Yeah.
So, Jason, have you finally been able to open up the current outline?
Yes, I have.
You want to take us into the next piece of news?
I could. So, as we all know, Sonic's 25th anniversary is coming up. And as we all know, there's this very kick-ass Brazilian metal band called MegaDriver, right?
Yeah.
And they're re-releasing not re-releasing, but they're remastering their original Sonic album and adding new tracks to it and such. Back in 2008, I believe, was their first Sonic album, MetalHog, which was a whole bunch of Sonic tracks like Chemical Plant, Green Hill, The Usual Suspects. And basically, they're remastering the entire thing. They're adding new stuff to it. They're making instrumentals of Sonic Boom, City Escape. And usually what they do is add a new song entirely with vocals and such. So they're making a vocal version of the the Sega Master System version of Scrap Brain Zone, and they're adding vocals to that. And as of right now, it's actually out on Google Play, Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, the usual, where you get all your music from, quote unquote. And they're
Pirate
also
Bay.
released. Yeah.
Have they released it on Pirate Bay yet?
Pirate Bay, LimeWire. Yeah, it's on LimeWire and everything.
Kazaa.
Oh yeah, Kazaa, Rhapsody. We're going that route. And on Sonic's 25th anniversary, which is June 23rd, they're going to be releasing the free download version on their website. So anybody who's cheap and doesn't want to buy it, you can get it for free then. You just got to wait. Which I've been listening to it so far, and I have to say it's an amazing album.
I love their version of City Escape. That's one of my all-time, favorite Sonic songs, and they did a really great version of that. I loved it.
They did. Their instrumentals are really good. Their new song, that new vocal song they made is pretty good too. I really dug their last album, Double KO, which was pretty much just a whole bunch of fighting game music. That one was really good too.
We're hoping to get them on the Nerdcast here soon. So I've already been talking to them, and I think that would be awesome. How cool would it be if we could somehow convince them to create like a metal version of the Nerdcast theme song? That would be pretty badass, right?
Yeah.
Wait, we have a theme song?
Yes.
Have you listened to the goddamn Nerdcast ever? Yes, it plays at the very beginning.
I'm just so used to recording it. My bad.
I'm just playing. I actually have it as my ringtone too, so anytime anyone calls me,
Dork.
So I know.
Composed by the Blast Processors.
It's a good song. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a great job.
We love you, Blast Processors. We do.
And
we really do.
Also, if you guys remember, I don't know if we talked about it last week or the week before, but there was that Echo the Dolphin album that was released for free. The Blast Processors actually did a song on that album, or I don't know if it was the full Blast Processors, but Julian from the Blast Processors, I think, collaborated with another artist, and they had a song, and it was really, really awesome. So if you guys have not listened to that Echo album, just go onto the website and just search Echo the Dolphin album, and you'll be able to find it from there. And that one is actually completely free download, and it was actually really cool music with that. I've been listening. I've been kind of going back and forth between the MetalHog 2.0 and listen to that Echo the Dolphin album.
Also, you can search on our site MegaDriver MagFest concert, and you can watch their live performance that happened.
Oh yeah, I forgot they played
a year ago. It was pretty amazing.
That was.
You know what? I can't believe you realize that we missed this, don't you, Requiem? That we were.
Yeah, I told you guys to go watch them, and you were like, nah.
The problem is that
I'm ever like, nah.
The problem is that when we go to these shows together, all we end up doing is just shopping for video games the entire time. We just stay in the merchandise area and just are hunting for games. That's pretty much all we do.
I already have the real reason why you guys didn't go, because it was the day prior to you guys going.
That's
you guys went on Saturday, and the concert was on Friday.
Okay.
You know what I'm really upset about? I would have loved to have seen them, but I didn't realize that Yuzo Koshiro was there. I think maybe the year before, and I didn't realize he was going to be there, and I missed it, which was a big bummer. I would have loved to have seen that. So. Hopefully, I'll get another opportunity to see MegaDriver live, and hopefully Yuzo Koshiro as well. So we're going back. We're still planning on that, right, Requiem? We're going, right?
To what now?
To MagFest.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
I've already been.
Yes, we're going to MagFest.
With the wife.
I have to write some obligatory post about it to make sure I can get in on press credentials this year.
Yep.
So.
We're
Shouldn't be too hard. I don't know if they're doing press passes this year. I have to look.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know.
Let's see. We're on the MagFest.
You may have to
if we get in contact with MegaDriver, we could tell them we're their roadies, and we can figure something out. and we could get him for free with MegaDriver.
Yay!
Jason, maybe you can come along this year too. Maybe we can have a few of the SEGA nerds to go down there. I do think the Blast processors are going to be there. I don't know if they're going to be playing officially, but I knew though they have some like jam stages that they usually get on. But it would be fun to hang out with.
We're
them.
all gonna get black T-shirts. We're gonna get aviators, and we're gonna come in there like the Wolfpack. That's it.
Uh-oh.
That's gonna be our con experience.
Yeah, I think what usually happens with these things, though, is we go like, oh, this panel seems cool, and then we go look at the panel and the lines like so damn long. Like,
screw that.
Fuck, no, never mind. Let's go check out that other table over there, see what's over there. So that really is how it goes.
But we always come out with an awesome haul of games. I will say that.
Yeah, we do.
I promise you and all our listeners that I will not leave MagFest 2016 until I have a copy of Willie Beamish on.
That's what you're saying?
Of all games?
Yeah.
I remember having that in hand, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't buy it, and I really wish I had. So that's the one game going in that I want to pick up.
All right. Well,
and hopefully I'll get an XI there as well. That's one thing that I want. Or I'll just steal yours.
We need to find you a Splatterhouse 3. One of these days.
Yeah, Splatterhouse 3 is another one on my list of games to get. So I think it's going to wrap up the news. Let's get on to our feature discussion now. Requiem, this was your idea.
Yeah.
So why don't you lead us into this one?
Right. It's not a last-minute idea at all.
No.
Since Bayonetta is being added to the Smash Brothers roster this coming week, we thought that it might be fun to talk about SEGA fighting game characters. So just like profile one of them, one of your favorite ones, one of your least favorite ones, whatever, from a SEGA fighting game or SEGA-related fighting game. And so I'm going to get the ball rolling, and since I've played the Virtua Fighter series but never spent enough time with it, I'm going to go a little bit farther back and pick an Eternal Champions character and discuss the character Xavier Pendragon from the Eternal Champions games. Xavier, if you're not aware of the story of the game, the Eternal Champion, the boss of the game, brings back to life a lot of characters from the past to have a contest, and whoever wins the contest gets to go back and relive their life from a certain point where they made a mistake and they got killed. And Xavier is an alchemist in the age of the Salem witch trials. And he gets burned at the stake for being a witch or warlock or whatever the term may be. And so his scientific endeavors get cut short. The world is punished for it. And that's sort of his background. Playing as him, I think, is really fun. I know a lot of people, when they think about Eternal Champions, they think about like Shadow or Larson, the gangster guy. But Xavier he had a big staff, he had a bluish purple hood, and a lot of his moves were distance range moves. He had several different projectile moves. One of them was called the Midas Touch that turned your character into solid gold, kind of like Sub-Zero's freeze move. He had one that was, his staff had a snake on it, and he'd kind of throw his staff forward, and the snake would come off and wrap itself around you and bite you in the face. So fun things there. And I remember either in the book or in the opening plot of the game, it was saying, Xavier's moves may seem magical, but they're all based in science. I'm like, how do you fucking make your staff come to life and bite someone in the face? But whatever, science, it's cool.
You don't know that science can't do it. So.
Yeah, I
in
guess
theory, it could work.
He apparently was very advanced. He also had a teleport move. I love characters with teleport moves. I like Raiden in the Mortal Kombat games for that, and he had one as well. So his was a swap. If you did the move, you would swap places with your opponent wherever they were on the screen, even if they're in the air. So it could work to your advantage. It also could work to your disadvantage if you teleported and swapped with someone who's in the air coming at you, and then you're up in the air not really knowing what you're doing while the other person's on the ground, and it leaves you open, pretty wide open to getting smashed in the face. So you may wonder, well, why couldn't he just teleport and swap off that stupid steak or Big Bird of the steak? So, well, because video games. Honestly, I feel like his best move in the game was simply his jump kick, though. If you jumped and hit his hard kick, he would go up with the kick, and then as he reached the pinnacle of his kick, he would come back down. His leg direction would change, and he'd come down at you. So it was almost like, if you can imagine, like since Street Fighter's a more popular game, if you can imagine a dragon punch that goes up and then comes down with like a drop kick, that's like his normal, regular jumping kick attack. So not quite as fast and not quite as damaging, but it's extremely effective for hitting someone that's coming at you or keeping someone away that's advancing at you. So I had a lot of fun playing with him. He was my favorite character in the game. My older brother playing as Larson still always managed to wipe the floor clean with me, but whatever. His insult was simpleton. That's what he would get. That was the insult he would throw at you, and I always dug that too. So, anyway, so that's my favorite Sega fighting game character, Xavier Pendragon from the Eternal Champions and Eternal Champions Challenge of the Dark Side.
I have to be honest. I had not played Eternal Champions as much as I wish I would have growing up. But that's a game that I definitely want to pick up. I want to say the Sega CD version is kind of the one to get, right?
Yeah, it's definitely the better one. It's got an extremely improved soundtrack. The soundtrack on the CD one is amazing. The character roster is maybe twice as big. It's a huge character roster in the CD one. If you play it single player, it's a lot easier than the Genesis one. The Genesis one is damn near impossible to beat playing it single player, and the characters are better balanced in the Sega CD one. And the Genesis one, if you're playing, like Larson and Shadow, are both pretty overpowered in the Genesis one.
I know that feel all too well.
Yeah. One thing that sucks about it, it's a pretty technical game. There's a lot of different moves for all the characters. And so it's one, people don't pick up retro games to spend a lot of time on them anymore, like you really would have to really enjoy Eternal Champions now.
That game's got some really weird inputs.
Yeah.
It really does. Almost like Mortal Kombat level of technicality mixed with Street Fighter. It's just...
Anyway,
it's too bad that series didn't continue, but...
There was a planned Saturn version. I remember seeing ads that had a Saturn, just a list of Saturn games and had an image of just like a title screen, Eternal Champions Saturn or whatever, but I don't think anything ever came to it from that.
Too bad.
That does suck. Jason, what about you? What do you got?
Alright, Sega fighting games. Let's think about this for a minute. Would somebody else like to go while I'm deciding?
Yeah, I would take Honey from Fighting Vipers.
I almost took her. Good. I'm glad someone else did.
Yeah. Well, she's kind of bizarre and she's kind of cool, and that's what I would. She was pretty funny in the game, so I would go with that one. Not much explanation rather than the looks.
You could probably tell this answer coming from me, but the Hornet from Fighters Mega Mix.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Either the Hornet from Fighters Mega Mix, or if I had to pick someone that wasn't four-wheeled and drove around an oval, it would probably be Sarah from Virtua Fighter.
Oh, yeah.
Ever since playing Virtua Fighter 2 as a little kid, she's always been my favorite Virtua Fighter character. Just those kicks and that backflip, man. Not one to mess around with.
I don't know if this will count. I don't think we put any strict rules on this, but I think my favorite character, I know as far as the fighting game that I played the most on a Sega system would probably be Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast. I absolutely loved Soul Calibur. That was the one game when I bought my Dreamcast that completely blew me away, graphically speaking. I mean, Sonic Adventure was awesome in its own right, but Soul Calibur was one of those games I think still holds up pretty well today, at least visually speaking, and even the gameplay is still amazing. But anyway, Keelik was my guy in in Soul Calibur. I loved him. He used a bow staff, and so we're kind of continuing that theme. But he was just I found him to be really easy to use and just really fun to play. I loved the flow of his moves, and he just was really great. I mean, Soul Calibur had so many amazing characters and just so many iconic characters as well, and it was one of those games that was different because it was a weapons-based fighter, which you just didn't get a lot of back then, and it was just a lot of fun. I remember I took my Dreamcast with me to after I graduated basic training. I took my Dreamcast with me to my next base when we were doing all of our kind of our training to learn our jobs, and we lived in dorms, and so we would have these big tournaments where we'd play Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast, and there would just be a ton of people in our dorm room playing, and
Wow.
it was a lot of fun, and I remember just kicking a lot of ass with Keelik. But some of the other characters I loved, Ivy, of course, she's awesome.
Beat me to it.
Yeah, I loved Ivy. Voldo was great just because he was so freaking weird. I really loved him. And just, I mean, I don't know. There were just so many good characters in that. But I was really trying to figure out between Keelik and maybe picking up someone from Power Stone as well. I love Power Stone. That was also another great game. I love Edward Falcon. I thought was just a really cool character. So he's probably my number 2 if I had to pick one.
Yeah.
So those are our picks. It looks like Andrew ended up dropping out. I guess he lost power at some point, so I don't think he's going to be able to make it back. But I would have been interested in seeing what he would have added to the conversation as far as what his favorite fighting game.
I think he would have picked Xavier also. I think he was with me, so we win.
Possibly. Who knows? Maybe. But we want to hear from you guys, like always. Let us know what your favorite Sega fighting game character is. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Sega-developed fighting game. It could be anything that was on a Sega system. So that is going to wrap up our feature discussion. Have you guys been playing anything this week that you want to touch on?
Yeah, but I already talked about it. It's Fighting Climax Ignition.
Besides what's like hanging up in that general direction, it's been like Lotus and Top Gear week for me. Besides what I was playing last week, I don't know. I've been glued to all of those and just playing the entire series. Now that I have an Amiga emulator, I've been experimenting with the all the original Lotus Turbo games. Like,
nice.
I've mainly. No, go ahead, Chris. I'll go after you.
I've just mainly been playing Project Cross Zone on my 3DS. I also bought that the SG-1000 theme for my 3DS. That is really cool. I'm really liking that. It's just one of those like super cute things to have. I love just hearing some of that, just the music and some of the sound effects and stuff from that.
Are any of the music tracks on it recognizable? Do you recognize where any of those?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Yeah, 'cause on the Mark III and the Master System one, I think I can place them all, but on that.
Isn't one of them the Alex Kidd theme?
On the Mark III and Master System one, yeah. There's like Phantasy Star, Alex Kidd, Rambo First Blood Part 2, Quartet.
Rambo First Blood Part 2. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a weird one, but
yeah, good tune.
I know I want to get the Astro City theme. That's the one I haven't gotten yet. I have the Saturn and the Genesis ones for now.
Yeah, I've got 4 or 5 of them. But Chris, were you done talking about what you've been playing?
Yeah, I think so, because I'm trying to think. I haven't really played a lot. I mean, I know I was trying to get back into Govelius. I haven't been able to do that. I was like 3 on my Retro Freak, but not enough to really, talk about it. I just been playing here and there. Odin did come up like while I was playing that, and he wanted to play. So it was really fun just to kind of show him the controls of Sonic. And he seems to be really interested in that game. So I think that's going to be a game that we're going to be playing together here going forward. So maybe next week I'll have some more to talk about on that.
Okay. Well, as for me, my daughter and I have been tag teaming Splatoon. She loves that game, my older daughter. And we got her the 3-pack of the Splatoon amiibo for that game. and those are pretty cool. They look good. She's excited to get them. They unlock new challenges in the game, which she cannot do, so Daddy does those for her, which is fine. But otherwise, yeah, I played the Project Crosszone demo. I should have a write-up of some impressions on that this week on the site, so look for that. But mostly what I've been spending a lot of time with is South Park: The Stick of Truth on 360, which my wife got me for Christmas like a month ago. That game is awesome. If you don't mind offensive shit, that game is so funny. Oh my god, I've been laughing my ass off. I don't want to do spoilers or anything because it's so funny, some of the stuff they do, but there's a part in the game, spoiler-ish, where you have to try to get the girls to help you and join your party. And some of the stuff that they ask you to do is just insane. It is so damn funny. I'm just laughing. I told my wife about it this morning, so I was playing it last night, and she's just cringing because she doesn't like South Park humor at all. She's like, oh my god. And I'm sitting there dying, talking to her about it.
So, it's one of those, it's South Park, it's one of those games, if you're easily offended, just
what are
stay
you
away
doing
from
playing
it.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm so happy it's good. It's so funny. Cartman cracks me up. Everything about that game is so far it's great. I'm about 12 to 15 hours into it, maybe.
I think I bought it on Steam at some point when it was on sale, and I just put a 3 terabyte hard drive in my computer, so I've been going back through and downloading all my Steam games. So maybe that's something I'll end up downloading again this week and trying to play that. I definitely need to play it.
Yeah, if you like South Park, give it a shot. There's a sequel, I think, coming out on the next-gen system.
Is it also going to be... I think that was an RPG, right? Stick of Truth was an RPG?
Yeah, it's an RPG. It's an RPG. You play as the new kid in town, and you select between different party members. Like you can have Butters and you, or Stan and you, or Cartman and you. So you have a 2-person team at any given time, but your main character is a character you design that is the new kid in town.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good. Highly recommended. You can get it on Amazon for like $15 to $20 on 360, something like that. I don't know what it is on Steam or PS3, but yeah, good stuff.
Very cool. So that is going to wrap up our show. Before we get going, though, so for next week, it's going to be our 100th episode. We want to do something fun for it. So we're asking you guys, all of our listeners out there, just to write us, if you guys have any favorite moments or anything like that through the years. There's been a lot of fun stuff that we've done on the podcast where, Graham and I being drunk in England together and doing our podcast out there. That was a lot of fun. And so we'll probably talk about that next week. We've just done a lot of just crazy fun stuff through the years. But it's been a lot of fun. I can't believe we're already at 100 episodes. So if you have anything that you want us to talk about during that, just send us an email at seganerds@gmail.com, or you can just send us something on Twitter. It's at SegaNerds. And we'll be able to get to that.
Are we taking audio submissions, or is that something that we're going to worry with? I don't know if we'll be able to do them on a live YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we would do that. We don't have currently. We aren't set up, I think, to take audio submissions.
We still need to do our Boostcast. Maybe we could do that.
That would be fun.
Or we can try that format when we invite random people to join in the show.
I have a podcast.
I almost tweeted out the wrong link.
I've done that before, people have.
Today.
Oh my god! Yeah, I was wondering why random people were just joining in, and then I realized that they were just trying to watch the podcast, not actually enter the conversation. So that was a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah. So next week we'll probably we're still trying to figure out exactly what the format's going to be, but it's not going to be one of those just clip shows where you just have clips of that kind of thing. We're actually going to be kind of discussing some of our favorite moments, some of our favorite guests that we've had on, that kind of thing. But we want to make it fun. entertaining as always. Aside from that, we have some really great content that came up on the website this week. As Requiem said, he's going to have some impressions of the Project Cross Zone 2 demo. Lee posted a really awesome, in-depth, hands-on preview of the Yakuza 6 demo that just recently was made available. I think you had to get Yakuza Kiwami to be able to get access to that demo, and he imports all of the Yakuza games. He's one of the biggest Yakuza fans I know personally, and he's just very knowledgeable about the Yakuza series. So he goes in depth and talks about some of the good things that the Yakuza team has done with its new game, how they're trying to evolve the series. And he also notes that, hey, there's also some stuff that they need to work on with the game as well, and hopefully they'll be able to iron that out before it's released. So if you haven't read that, definitely go and check that out. And Jason, I think you have another, Arcade Racer article
Oh yeah,
coming up
I
this
have
week too.
my Forgotten Racers coming up on the canceled Genesis port of Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat. I
Sweet.
finally got around to writing that through after spending a decent amount of time with it. So,
Awesome. So we're going to have some good content, so keep checking the website for that, and we'll also, of course, keep you up to date on all the Sega news. You can follow us on Twitter. It's at Sega Nerds. You can find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/theSegaNerds. And we ask that you subscribe to us. We're on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're also on Android as well. If you want to just go onto the website, www.seganerds.com, scroll down, you'll find links to the podcast where you can subscribe in the sidebar on the right towards the bottom of the page. And I think that is going to do it for us. We are out, fellas.
All right.
Take it easy.
Have a good night.